this is Faith at Faith and Books. How are you doing? This is an announcement video. I am going to set up a challenge for July. Now, it's Jane Austen July is very, very popular, and I might participate in some way in that. It is a fun month, but I'm concerned about something else, and I'm going to tie it to books. Every year, for I don't know how many years, there's something called Plastic Free July. It started in Australia, I don't know how many years ago, and I think it's gaining in popularity. People are becoming more aware of plastic pollution and how bad it is for the earth. And so I wanted to tie that together. So all this is coming together for me because someone that I work with at our church on our Care for Our Common Home ministry is in charge of living a sustainable life, like trying to develop those ideas for our diocese, because we are enrolled in Pope Francis's 7-year plan to become more sustainable. So she's trying to come up with ideas to inspire people and motivate people to turn to more sustainable lifestyles. And we do it, there's a whole secular environmentalist movement out there, but we do it really because I'm a believer, and I believe creation is a gift from God. And so how I take care of that gift that he's given me that sustains life reflects on my relationship with him. And if I just trash it, it means I'm ungrateful, and so that hurts someone's feeling. If suppose somebody gave you a house and it was for you and your children and your grandchildren, and you just trashed it. Instead, you just did what you wanted with it, instead of taking care of it and trying to make it a place of beauty and make it something you can hand on to your future generations. And that's the way it is, with creation. So we need to step up our game. And so, but the thing is, it's actually I find it a very fulfilling thing. It's frustrating in many ways because our whole society is set against being sustainable. Everything's throwaway. And we're so oriented to being consumers rather than producers, and convenience is more important than, thinking ahead to the impact of what all that convenience has on, that negative impact it has on things. So it's very hard. It's very counterculture. It's very revolutionary to try to live sustainably. And I'm not doing it because it's hip or anything like that. There's a ton of greenwashing going on. You have to be very careful about what people are trying to sell you. But I'm doing it because I think it means living a more meaningful life that brings me closer to my Creator. So that's why I do it. Okay, so what I want to do, I'm still thinking this out. I'm going to come up with a list of books that you can read, and to participate, you only have to read one book on something related to sustainability or conservation. And what I think I'm going to try to do, if I can do this, kind of crazy that I'm thinking this way, I'm going to try to come up with short videos. I don't know if I can do it every day, but like say 3 or 4 times a week in July. July is going to be crazy because the first week I'm going to be on vacation, and then the latter part of July I'm supposed to have 2 surgeries, one in each eye for my cataracts. So what I'm going to do is try to make these videos ahead of time and then just schedule them. So I'm going to be making them before actual July, although maybe I'll try to pop in and make a couple in July as well. We'll see what happens. So anyway, so there's a bunch of books out there that you can read, and all types of things. I was even thinking that Kate Howe has her, I forget the name of the club, Kindred Spirits, and they just read A Girl of the Limberlost, and who's that by? Jean Porter Stratton. And I've read several of her books, including that one. And that is all about her, a big theme in it is her interest in the moths of the Limberlost swamp. Well, we're losing insects, like we lose a species on Earth. Now I can't remember if it's just insects or all. Like a species goes extinct every hour. Every hour, a species goes extinct on the Earth. I mean, that's just mind-boggling. So, and mostly it's because of human impact. So we just need to live more gently. We need to be good stewards. We need to take responsibility for our actions and maybe change our lifestyles to a simpler but maybe more fulfilling. Because right now we're frantic and so many people aren't happy. Mental illness is through the roof. And I think we're doing things the wrong way around. And maybe if we got our priorities straight, we could, make the planet a better place for our offspring, and maybe also live richer, calmer, more fulfilling lives. So here are some of the books that I have read, and I'm going to come up with a better list. So to participate, you would only need to read one book, but I think I'm going to have various challenges and stuff. If anybody wants to co-host with me, man, I would be so happy. That would be so much fun. If anyone else is interested in this topic, please let me know, and I'd love to work with you on it. So anyway, the first thing I'm going to show you that I read, which is such an inspirational book, and I saw it, whoops, my Kindle just shut off. Hold on, I was just about to show you the picture. And I even saw a talk by this guy. It's Dr. Doug Tallamy. And this is his latest book. He's written several bestsellers. This is called Nature's Best Hope, a new approach to conservation that starts in your yard, by Douglas W. Tallamy. He's a professor of entomology at the University of Delaware. And his idea is that we can't pretend our yards, our lawns are outside of an ecosystem. We are mammals. We live on this earth. We are part of the overall ecosystem. We do things that buffer us from immediate, sometimes. I mean, when you're poor, you don't have the same buffer that I do. But one thing we can do is make our yards more ecosystem friendly and that will do so much to help the earth if we just change our mindset on lawns, basically, and start growing more native species and trying to attract wildlife and support the wildlife that's around us. So that's one, Nature's Best Hope. You could go theological on this. This is completely secular, but very, very inspiring. Pope Francis wrote Laudato Si on care for our common home. This is what inspired me to get involved with my church. And it's deep stuff. And he's pulling from the Bible. And previous teachings of the church, and he's also really relies on a particular Orthodox Christian bishop or patriarch who also kind of inspired him to write this. But this is good because he ties it to trying to live a good life that is virtuous. Is you're trying to do good in the world. You're trying to promote the common good. You're trying to benefit all society, and but he ties environmentalism, or creation care, as I prefer to call it, because environmentalism is kind of a buzzword for some people, kind of a red flag word, but it's creation care to the care for the poor. It's really related. If you want to take care of the poor, you need to take care of the planet. So this is an excellent read. It's very deep, but it's not that long. It ends in some beautiful prayers. Very inspirational, worth reading and rereading and rereading. A crow just flew by. Okay, then the third book that I think, I just went through my bookcases and tried to come up with books. This is Plastic Free. He's staying there. How I Kicked the Plastic Habit and How You Can Too, by Beth Terry. And this is just a resource for how to avoid plastic. Plastic pollution is a terrible problem that we have now. And it really, we're going to bury the earth in plastic. And it's got so many health issues are involved and environmental. It's just bad. So this is a really handy-dandy reference. And, if you want to do something like that, you just want to spend the month thumbing through a reference book like this, coming up with ideas for how you could make some changes in your own life. This would be a good resource. Another type of book that would count is, this kind of has a glare, but it's At Home with Beatrix Potter, the creator of Peter Rabbit. She was a great conservationist. She bought up all this land and she made it into a conservation area because she wanted to preserve that area of England. So learning about earlier conservationists would be a good thing to do. Here's another book to learn about permaculture, which is kind of the wave of the future if we're going to sustain our farming. Our agribusiness farming is not sustainable. It's going to start really tanking. The food is not as nutritious. There's just all sorts of, we're destroying the soil with synthetic fertilizers. We're creating monocultures that don't support pollinators, so the pollinators are starving. And just all sorts of, and then there's all this food waste. And just, there's, in every level of our agribusiness, our agro-industrial food systems, there is an enormous amount of pollution and waste. It's really terrible. So anyway, so this is the Earth User's Guide to Permaculture. This is really a textbook, and I read through it last year, I think. And yeah, it's all about design systems that work with nature as opposed to against it. You study nature, you observe, you take sort of the things she does and you replicate it in a way that supports humans and all life. What I like about it is it includes humans. It's not, sometimes environmentalists are like anti-human. You know, they're like, oh, humans are the worst. You know, it'd be better if they were gone. And they're very, what's the word, misanthropic? This is not. This is a really consistent, well thought out. It's endlessly interesting. Endlessly interesting. It's a lot of engineers are attracted to it because it's all about design and best practices and best systems. It's just wonderful, and it's this is the hope for the future. And then you could even, if you wanted to, incorporate some children's books. Like here's The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, about a guy who brought electricity to his village using a windmill, a young boy. Or this lady here, One Plastic Bag. Can you see that? Isitu Kisei and the Recycling Women of Gambia. So, all right, and then I think I'll try to come up with tips, enough content to provide really simple tips and ideas for just making little changes to become more sustainable. And maybe you know more about it than I do. I really fell off the wagon a lot during COVID, and I'm trying to get back on. That's why I'm really hoping to take Plastic Free July really seriously this summer, even though I'm going to be on vacation the first week and I'm going to be having surgery in the latter half. I'm still going to try to really focus, and that's why I want to start this early. Okay, so I think that's enough from me. I hope you're interested in this. I'm going to develop it further and try to come up with something that maybe is a little more coherent. And if anyone wants to do this with me, I would be so happy. That would be just splendid. All right, well, I guess that's it. And take care and happy reading. Bye.